Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Can you hear me well? Thank you very much. I'm so glad to see this room so packed of people. I'm very grateful for that. Welcome to Productivity for Leaders Masterclass. So first of all, huge thank yous to Stanford University and all the organizing committee, and especially you for taking the time to listen to this class. It is very humbling to me. It's hard to prepare a class for people who have gone through so many things, so many experiences, so much information, and being able to add value from there. So I hope everything that I will share today will definitely add value to your life, to your daily routines, and reduce your stress and probably that feeling of overwhelming. If you are here, definitely you are an achiever, and probably you don't have only 3 things on your to-do list. That's the reason why you will probably find interesting coming to a productivity session. I will quickly share a little bit of my story, because all stories start with a personal story. I don't want to take too much time on this, but basically, my name is Gabi. I am from Venezuela. This is not me. This is my mother. I'm basically So I basically grew up on a very busy family. I mean, my mother used to work for an international company, and she was always busy. If I had to say, how can I describe my mother, it would be with a sound of heels walking out the house at 3 a.m. in the morning to take a plane, go somewhere else, and then be able to come back home before dinner. So definitely time has always been around my life, and has always been something that I had to earn. I mean, time around my mother wasn't something I could take for granted. Something very special has to happen for she to be there. And of course, now I say it with a lot of compassion. But back then, I mean, growing up, it was very painful for me. And it made me realize how important time was for me since I was very little. After that, this is actually me. So what happens when you try to avoid being like your mother? What usually happens is that you are very like your mother. So I definitely started my corporate life working for an international company as well. And I found myself doing exactly the same things: traveling, working long hours, going back home very late, not being able to go to the gym or do things that I would like to. And really, there was like this thought in the back of my head, like, okay, when I have kids, I want to have a different relationship with them. So basically, I thought, okay, if I want that, I have to do something different from what my mom did. And basically, when you are in the corporate world, the only different thing that you can do is starting your own business. So that's exactly what I did. And this picture, it's my husband and I, he's my co-founder, around any other Wednesday, around 11 p.m., working on the co-working space that we used to attend. We still have our offices there. And I was an entrepreneur, and I was still working until super late, long hours, not having free time, or at least time freedom, as I would say. And at that point, I realized that really time has nothing to do with being in the corporate world, or being an entrepreneur, or being a full-time mom. It has to do with how we really manage time and how we understand our brain and how times work. And actually, I started researching more on that. I started to study a lot. I certified myself on the Pomodoro technique. I certified myself on the Getting Things Done method, and basically started reading all the books around time and productivity. People who have spent their entire lives, is understanding time. And that was the point where I ended up like putting together a framework that really, and also trying that framework on myself and in others, that ended up being a physical product which is actually the productivity journal. That specific picture was the day that the first journal arrived. But really, it's not about the journal. It's about the framework that we were able to put together, taking the best parts of everything I learned and everything I have tried with myself and with companies. I have been working with different companies for around 3 years. So basically what we will understand here is how can we look at time differently. And I will try to give you a lot of useful tools so you can better handle time on a daily basis. This story is not only about me, it's actually around telling you that we are all capable of being creators. I do not belong from an entrepreneurship family. I mean, Stanford was not part of my life and any of these things. And I have been able to do all these things by constantly looking for tools that allow me to believe and create it. And actually, my first message here is that you are actually able to do whatever you want. Could be the best mom, the best dad, a runner, or a CEO, anything you want. If you keep looking for tools that allows you to believe you can do that and actually create it, okay? So this was a quick story. So now we will get started with the content. I didn't want to take so much time on this. So, okay, let's start with this. I want to show you first why it is important and relevant to be here. And I will use this pyramid as a way to explain it. So we all start our lives on this bottom, which is actions. When we are teenagers, we are always looking for things to do, okay? We are on high school and we want to participate in so many things. When we get to university, we want to be part of everything. We want to go to the UN Model Nations and we want to be part of the soccer team. And we want to do so many things. After that, we go to our first job. And what do we do in our first job? What do we do usually? I mean, when you enter a first job, no matter what's your field, what do we do? Anything that they ask you to, right? When you get your first job, you are constantly looking for actions. I mean, you are very reactive on whatever people throw at you because you are trying to collect experiences. So that's the first, may say, the first part of our lives. Then we keep growing, and these actions kind of upgrade a little bit, and they transform into purposeful actions. And basically the difference between actions and purposeful actions is that we realize that we have the right to choose. Basically, we start thinking, okay, this is not my first job, it's my second job, so I'm doing this, I'm not doing that. Then we start choosing what would be our next step on our education. So it's not basically that we study what our parents wanted us to study, but I choose, okay, I want to be a lawyer, I want to specialize, I want to go to business school, I want to go to law school, I want to do this, I want to do that. We start, adding some purpose intentionally to our actions. We keep growing. By the way, this has nothing to do with age. It has to do with how we evolve as people, okay? So these purposeful actions start transforming into a project. So what's the difference between this stage and this other stage is that we start worrying more about the outcome and the result rather than the tasks. And this is something we probably do unconsciously. But whenever you find yourself not worrying so much about what you do or what you want to accomplish, you are probably at this stage. We keep evolving, and we enter another category in life that it's probably one of that we will feel probably related with, and it's life categories. The point with life categories is like we keep adding so many roles to our lives. We started being a son or a daughter, then we become a wife, or a husband. Then we realize we actually have duties as sons and daughters. Then we are also probably a boss or a CEO. Then you also probably have some kind of responsibilities with your community, or you're part of a music band. And we keep adding so many roles. And at this stage, we actually feel good when we feel that all these areas are moving forward. Doesn't matter if you're doing super good at your job, but maybe you are having problems with your wife. Then your life, it's that point in life when you start thinking about balance, and this kind of balance start being a thing. Because we really, when we are teenagers and when we are on our first job, we're only worrying about our job role. You know, you are an employee and you have to perform well. But when you get to this stage, you actually feel good when you are making progress in all these areas of your life. And eventually, you reach this last stage in life, which probably some of you already have reached, which is purpose. And it's basically this greater thing that drives you to action and that actually impacts all the areas of these life categories. It's that thing that you cannot tell, but it doesn't matter. For example, if I say that my purpose is inspiring people to create their projects, that's something I do with my job, that's something that I do with my sister, that's something that I do with a friend that I made. It's something that I cannot control, but it's so inside you that you have to do it with everybody, with all your roles, okay? So I would like to know, in which stage do you feel you are? You can share, some of you can share, which one do you feel is the most suitable for you now?
I would say life categories.
Life categories, okay.
There's a lot going on and you want to do well in all of those.
Okay, perfect. What about you?
Thanks to the power course, I'm actually right about life categories, just in between purpose and life categories.
That's awesome. Between life categories and purpose. Anyone else want to share? Yeah.
I think I'm between projects and life categories.
Okay.
Outcome is the only thing that matters at work, and life category, I'm trying to figure out the goals that I wanted to make.
Okay, that's awesome. So he said between projects and life categories. So look that none of you mentioned that you are in action stage, right? Probably you are not there. But the thing is that we definitely have a more complex life, but we keep managing a complex life with a very, very basic tools, which only manages actions. So this is critical, but because it is like trying to drive a nail on the wall with a drill. I mean, probably you will get it, but it will be very hard because you have a very basic tool for that. And this is the reason why we are feeling so overwhelmed. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing bad with to-do list. It's the beginning of everything that we will see today. But my objective today is what we are all able to upgrade a little bit this to-do list so it's more suitable with the stage that you feel you are at, okay? So the first thing that we need to understand is our productive hours, okay? It is very important to understand how our brain works so we can work for the brain and not against the brain. Basically, there are two types of time. There is a chronotype, which is the time that we all know it's 60 seconds, has a minute, and then with 60 minutes, we have an hour and so on. It's the time you can actually measure. And then there is another type of time called kairos time, which it's a pretty difficult name, but it's that time that you cannot measure, but you feel you do so much and you cannot even realize how much time has passed. Because I didn't like this kairos word, it's just so far from me, I decided to change it to prime time, which is a word that I feel all of you can relate with. And it's this moment on the TV where the best TV shows are shown and the best, I mean, all audience is there. So it's basically this time of the day where your ideas flow, when you can work and do things in less time, spending less energy, and really get the most advantage of your time. And for understanding that, we will actually tap into the evidence and we will see how the productivity curve works. This is a theory developed by Daniel Pink. He actually has a very good book called When. The main idea around when is that it doesn't matter what you do, it only matters when you do it. I won't take it that far, but we will stay with this curve, which is very, very interesting. And basically what this curve tells us is that everybody, or at least 90% of the population, transits its day like an inverted bell, okay? So we have a peak state, a peak productivity state around 3 hours after waking up. And then we have a trough around 7 hours after waking up. And then we have a recovery time around 12 hours after waking up. It is very important to understand that the waking up is not the time you get off bed, it's the time your brain wakes up. So that moment when you're probably in bed, but you start having ideas and thoughts, that's probably your waking up time, your natural, the waking point from your chronotype, okay? Don't worry about getting your exact time. You will have a PDF to find this prime time, but this is what works for most population, okay? So basically, if you wake up at 7 a.m., you will have your peak state around 10 a.m., then you will have your trough around 2 p.m., and you have your recovery about 6 to 7 p.m., so by evening. And that's the reason why many people say that they have a lot of ideas by the end, just before going to bed. Who feels that? That when you're about to sleep, then ideas keep coming. Okay, that's very interesting because I want to explain you how different is the peak state from the morning than the recovery state of evening. So basically, in the morning is the perfect time for performing analytic tasks, okay? All these tasks that really, where you really need to be focused, okay? All these tasks that are very demanding and you really need to be very, very focused and yeah, focus on that. Then during the trough, what would I do, Gabby? Should I go to bed or something? No. This is the time where you will perform administrative work, okay? What is administrative work? It depends on the person, but it's usually those tasks that really do not, you don't really need to be so focused. It could be, for example, it depends on you, but for example, for an accountant, probably filling up a spreadsheet could be an administrative work, but for a creative person, filling up a spreadsheet could be an analytic work. So it depends on you. This is the perfect time to go through emails, for example, to go on social media, to go to the supermarket, anything that does not require your full focus, okay? This is the perfect time for that. And then during the recovery time is the perfect time for creative work. It's the perfect time for brainstorming. It's the perfect time for coming up with ideas, but not necessarily on the focus, I mean, not necessarily giving a structure to those ideas, but just coming up with ideas. And that has a reason. Your brain is already tired. So very insightful ideas can come out without that filter of the morning peak, okay? So it has a completely, it has like a reason behind it. So by understanding this, you can actually save so much time. So it's very critical that you get to discover your prime time and define your non-negotiable working hours and make your most productive hours define the rest of your activities and not the other way around. Sometimes we get to the office, now we don't get to the office anymore because we are working remotely. But the first thing we do, most of us, we get to the office around 9. And then the first thing we do is going through emails. And then we probably speak with a coworker. What happened yesterday? What did you do? How was the baseball play? And then after spending all those precious time doing administrative tasks, then around 2 or 1, we sit down to actually make the tough work. And at that point it's very heavy for your brain to actually perform that. And it would take longer, which means more energy. And actually, you will not feel satisfied with the result, okay? So being aware and actually allocating your task depending on this theory that I just showed you is critical to have more free time, okay? Is that clear? Good. Okay, now we'll actually start to go into the productivity funnel, which is kind of different tools that you can apply on a daily basis once you are on your desk by yourself. So the first thing is clear your mind. And cleaning your mind is something we all should do systematically, okay? If you don't have a plan, the plan is on your mind, okay? It is very important to understand that our brain is for generating ideas and not for storing them. I would like to know how many of you can tell an app for storaging ideas, where you can brainstorm ideas. Which app? We have Evernote, we have Notion, we have the notes on your cell phone. You have so many apps to storage ideas. The only thing that we cannot storage in any app is generating ideas. This is the best, this is the primary activity for the brain is to generate ideas. If you don't clean your mind systematically, basically your mind is divided into doing what you are doing and not forgetting everything. So you need to make this cleaning system that you keep downloading ideas on a notebook, on any app that is your favorite app, but just cleaning your mind so your mind can do the work of generating ideas, which is its primary work, okay? Secondly, I think this is, sorry. What's going on here? Okay, yeah. Okay. Secondly, you need to value and prioritize your successful routines. So I'll tell you something. What's the first thing we do when we start working on a project? What's the first thing you think about? Planning, okay, coming up with what you have to do, right? So basically, we start all our projects thinking about a strategy. What do we have to do to get the outcome that we want? So who would like to share a project that you're working on? Whoever want to share a specific project that you're working on? Who wants to participate here? Okay, tell me a project that you're working on.
So project is RPA, robotics process automation, to convert the day-to-day task into more computer-driven, bot-driven tasks. So it doesn't require a human being to do it.
Okay, so what's your goal with that project?
The goal is to get time back for the employees and the team so they can work on things that they have more creative skills usage in, not just rinse and repeat daily, invoicing, right? Or daily count creation stuff that could be done by a computer much better, much faster.
Okay.
And give the time back to the person that can use that time for more, brain-powered activities, not just repetitive and daily routine activities.
Okay, and which company you would like to sell this idea to?
So it's doing for my own company, working consumer packaged goods. So it's part of our account payable, account receivable, and then IT side as well in those two domains right now that want to automate some stuff with computer-driven, bot-driven work. Okay,
so how much time are you dedicating to that project currently?
Just for me or for my team?
Oh, okay, so the whole team is working on that project.
Yeah, a group of people between business and tech side of it.
Okay.
So I would say between rest of the work, 20-25% I would say per week is on that project.
Okay, so what will happen if I tell you that that project has to be, will be the most successful project for the company, and your company will be able to sell that idea to 5 other big corporations, and you will be the creator of that idea. So what would that mean on your daily routine?
I think you define a framework, right? You already went through the process. You identified the opportunities, how to do it, the tech stack, and how to implement it. So you do but first time you do end to end. The second time it's going to be a lot easier because you have a framework, you already know what to do. It's just essentially mapping it to a different companies.
Yes,
A little
absolutely.
bit of knobs tweaking here and there, but then it's the same thing that you're going to do.
Absolutely. But what I'm asking is, you told me that you are currently working 25% of your 100% of available time on that task. So what would happen with everything you are doing now if I tell you that this idea that you're working on, it's going to be the most successful idea for your company, and your company is going to be able to sell this idea to 5 other companies within 2 years? So what will happen?
That becomes my job then, essentially.
Okay, that's become my job essentially. So basically, and okay, so you will be allocating 100% of your time. What about the financial resources? What will you do?
Then becomes, because now you are not consuming resources, you are generating revenue, contributing towards the bottom line. So
Okay.
then different dynamic than just being in tech and trying to make efficiencies in the process. Now you are selling something that you already did, and the company is getting money for it versus being a cost center.
Okay, that's amazing. But in the making, would you ask for more people or more resources to do it best? Okay.
So it becomes your own kind of like, it was an incubation center within the company, and now you can sell this to others who need it in this specific space. For example, in consumer packaged goods, not a lot of the companies are doing this. They're not very high tech. So when you have that process, you could sell to others, and they will say, yeah, you're like me because I know you're food and bev, I am as well. So we speak the same language. And if you're automating that, can you do that for me as well? And this is going to be the cost and time. But you have your own smaller subset of organization vertically, and then you are heading it, or hopefully you are heading it.
Awesome. So that sounds amazing. So look how driven you are for that price. So basically, what changed between the 25% time that you are devoting now to that project to 100% of time, and probably asking for additional resources, the little thing that changed was the story. I told you a story about how successful your idea is and how your company will be able to sell that idea to different companies, and you will be the owner of the idea. So basically, the strategy can change drastically based on the story we are telling ourselves. So now you might tell me, okay, Gabby, but how I cannot keep coming up with this invented stories and every morning telling me that my idea will be the most successful one and I will be the creator of that. No, what I'm telling you, it is that it is a previous stage before the story that you are in control of, which is your state. The only thing you can control to have better stories and then better strategies is your state. And the only way to be in a good state consistently is taking care of your routines. It is critical that we understand how important our routines are to put us on a peak state that allow us to tell us good stories that then, as a consequence, brings better strategies. It doesn't matter where you were born, it doesn't matter how much money your parents had. The only thing you can control for yourself is being on a peak state. So basically, it is very important that you determine 2 to 3 routines that are very, very important for you, that put you in a peak state. It doesn't have to be yoga and running, which are the most popular ones. It can just be, I don't know, waking up 1 hour later, or having breakfast with my kids. Or let's say, for some people, it's just playing music while they are dressing up. What you need to identify which those routines are and make sure that you are keeping up on those routines, because that will guarantee a good state that creates good stories, and then it will create good strategies, better strategies, okay? The second thing that has to be with emotions, and we will get into more practical things later, it's very, very important that we connect with emotion and stay attached to it every single day. Commitment means constancy. When you are committed to a project, you are constant with it, okay? Some people struggle, say that, okay, Gabby, but I start this and I feel all this emotion when I start this project, and then it suddenly goes away. I don't know how to. And most people say that that's where the discipline comes in, okay? So after this motivation is away, you must rely on the discipline to keep going. I want to share with you another point of view that might be hopefully better for you. And it's basically to keep the emotion close to you. So it's easier for you to keep going with things. And there is a very easy way to do that. And it's actually asking every day in the morning this simple question: what motivates me to be productive today? It is very simple, but it automatically connects you with your purpose. And once you are connected with your purpose, it is easy to keep going. It doesn't have to be very elaborate. One day it could be because I want to change the world. Another day it could be because I want to go home 1 hour earlier today, or I want to make my kids feel proud of me, or I want to, don't have to go through my email during the weekend. It can be anything. Just 30 seconds to think about this, and it will automatically change the way you look at work, okay? So do not underestimate the power of motivation when it comes to being productive. It is very, very important. Second thing on the productivity funnel, prioritize your tasks. So do not focus on being big, focus on being important. Means do not focus on having so much to do, be obsessed with achieving so many results. Here you have a very clear example of what being big means and what being important means. And basically what we will do on this stage of the productivity funnel is limit the number of tasks that you will do each day. We have limited time and energy every day. So it is very, very important that we kind of seize the amount of tasks that we are able to do on every given day. Tapping into the evidence, actually, Ivy Lee, who made a huge contribution on optimizing steel industry in 1960s, he came up with this data, which says that we are able to perform around 6 tasks a day. And I will tell you what is a task. A task is everything that takes more than 10 minutes, but less than 2 hours to complete, okay? So if it takes more than 2 hours, it's a project that has to be divided into different tasks. If it takes less than 10 minutes, it is not a task. What this gives us is that it avoids feeling this way. We need to have clear expectations about what are we able to perform. We cannot give away our feeling of accomplishment to a list that is not realistic with the time and energy that we have on the day. So this is the amount of tasks you are supposed to be performing every day. It could be 7, can be 5, can be 8, but around 6 is the perfect amount of tasks that we are all able to perform a day. And the important thing is that we need to choose. But shortening the list that we have, as I told you at the beginning, everything starts with a to-do list. But when we are forced to short that list and choose and pick 6 of them, then you are able to identify which ones are you going to choose. So of course, this is a very, you are probably familiar with this. This is Eisenhower matrix. So basically, if it is very important, and I mean, there are like 4 parts on it. So I don't want to spend so much time on the yellow and red button because they're very obvious. If it is very important and very urgent, do it now. If it is not urgent and not important, don't do it at all. It is relevant that you try that at least one of the 6 tasks that you choose for the day is on the dark blue button, okay? So it is a task that is important, but it's not urgent. It doesn't have a deadline, but it moves the line forward to the outcomes that you want, okay? About delegation, maybe some of you can delegate, some of you can't, and I will go back to it at the end, so just remember that one. But the only thing I wanted to talk about on this slide is that it's relevant that at least one of the 6 tasks is on the dark blue button, okay? Make sure you always choose one from there. Okay, number 3, define your times. So it is very important that we try to transform your day into a succession of hours and not events. Usually our days look something like this. Eating breakfast, it is now, and then we will work until lunch, and then we will exercise at night, and then suddenly I have to enroll to the webinar. It's up to Friday, and then I have to buy the tickets. I better do it now because then it will be more expensive. So let me stop this and buy the tickets, okay? So this is not efficient at all, just because the mind is abstract, and we keep pushing the time. This is not something we can measure, and by the end of the day, we end up feeling that we haven't accomplished much. So the best way of looking at our day, it's something like this. 6 a.m. I wake up, then I will exercise. We'll take 2 Pomodoros. We will get back to Pomodoros later. And then in two more Pomodoros, I will have breakfast. Then I will spend some time planning. Then I will optimize my Facebook ads, because that's the starting of my peak state. Then I will have a team meeting at 10, another break. I will prepare the masterclass. It will take 4 Pomodoros for me. Then I will have lunch. Then I will spend some work on reading news on social media, because you remember it's the trough of your curve. Then I'll do some emails. I'll keep doing emails. By the way, emails is something you must add to your to-do list, okay? It's not just something that we usually write other tasks, and then we don't put emails, and emails keep coming in, and we spend so much time reading emails, and we are not actually acknowledging emails as one task, okay? So it's very important. Then I will review new designs. Something just doesn't need my whole focus. And then prepare shippings, just because we sell physical products, and then have dinner and so on. It has to be up to you. But what I want to show you here is that we have 6 tasks on this day, and actually something you can measure. So make sure you try to transfer your days into looking more as a succession of hours and not as a succession of events. This is the way you will be able to track your time and actually get advantage of it, and hopefully have more free time, okay? I wanna talk to you about 2 types of tasks very quickly, just because I think it's relevant. There are 2 types of tasks. There are the result-driven task. Focus is on the result. And then we have the time-driven task. Focus is on time. There are some tasks that you might say, Gabby, how can I measure how much time I spend on social media? Because sometimes social media might be something you need to do for your work, for example, on LinkedIn. Or maybe how much time should I spend reading? I just keep reading, and I'm very full with that. So basically, there are some tasks that are result driven. You actually are pursuing an outcome. And there are some other tasks, mostly new tasks or follow-up tasks, that you are not actually pursuing an outcome. You just have to set a time, and the result of that task is actually the time passes, okay? It doesn't have to have an outcome. So some examples here: editing the new video for ads, writing the blog post, finishing the sales report, attending an event. If you see all these tasks have a clear outcome. The video, is it ready or not? The blog post, is it posted or not? The sales report, did you send it or not? Attending an event, did you go or did you not? It's a yes, no answer. On the other hand, we have time-driven tasks, doing research on market benchmarks. How much time can you spend looking at benchmarks at Google? A lifetime, and it will not end. Looking for references. Sometimes we have to see what what other brands are doing. Preparing this presentation, what other presentations I have done that I can take as a reference. Check social networks is another one. Reading. So you need to set a time, no pressure, there is no way you will finish doing research, okay? You will spend 2 hours today. If you feel you still have room for improvement, then you set other 2 hours on a different day. But there is no outcome that you are pursuing. It's just for the time, okay? So having this clear gives you peace when it comes to this type of task specifically, okay? Number 4, monotasking time. Okay, so this is when we will talk a little bit about Pomodoro. It's a technique that I really like. I will introduce to you. Who of you have used Pomodoro technique as a time management? Really? Okay, good. So basically what the Pomodoro technique says is that we should work for 25 minutes, then 5 minutes break, 4 times until we complete 2 hours. And after that, we take a longer break, 15 to 25 minutes. This is something that has been measured, okay? If you go to your house and you set a timer and you start working focus, and the first time you kind of move, or you want to take water, or you want to go to the bathroom, if you look at the clock, you will probably be very, very close to 25 minutes. It's the time your brain can be focused before a break. The brain takes 15 minutes to get to the peak of focus, and then it starts lowering down until it's around 25 minutes. For you, could be 30, 35, it depends on you, but around this time is the perfect time for focus. And then you take a 5-minute break, and then you continue 25 minutes, and after 4 blocks, you will take a longer break, okay? This technique has a little bit of an entry barrier, I understand, but once you get into it, it really works. And the reason why it works are this. First of all, less resistance around focus. Sometimes we spend so much time thinking about having to be focused, like I need to focus, I need to focus, I need to focus. I spend so much time thinking about focusing. So when you think about being only 25 minutes, it makes it a lot easier to actually sit and don't be distracted by your phone or by anything else. So it's 25 minutes. Everybody can understand if you don't reply in 25, if you don't reply to an email in 25 minutes, if you don't get a call in 25 minutes, after 25 minutes, you call back. So it kind of it gives us less resistance around focus. Second reason, problems that solve themselves. When you are working focus, there are some times that it has happened to you that somebody needs something from you. I need a logo, send me this, give me this stuff. And then you kind of reply at that moment. And then by the time you go back to your phone, the person already solved the problem. So when you give time for breaks and focus time, and you start being very serious about it, there are problems that solve themselves. Same thing with time of sleeping. When you get your ideas asleep through the night, there are sometimes that solutions can come during that time. So do not underestimate breaks. They're very, very important for idea production, okay? And finally, it will give you free time because you are measuring your time. So by the time the Pomodoro is finished, you stop. And then if you want to continue doing that task, you will have to choose. Do I take off this other task and I continue working on this one? Or do I stop this task and I continue with what I planned, okay? So it gives you more opportunities to keep thinking about what you are doing and measuring the time you are actually spending on a specific task. Finally, review your progress. It is very, very important. Make the review, review your day as a daily practice without complication, okay? It hasn't to be very difficult. Only ask this question every day: what could have made my day be better? And also at the end of the week, probably ask you, what was my most productive day and what made it a great day? It is very important that we build toward achievements. Also, by the end of the week, try to make a list of everything that you did. It is very, very important to acknowledge everything that you did, and also take some time at the end of each day to do so, okay? Why? Pain plus review means progress. If we don't take time to review, then there is no progress. We will only have the bad memory. it is very important that you take time to review what happened on your day, what happened on your week, what happened on your month, so you can experience progress, okay? I want to share with you quickly this idea that really has impacted me so bad. So basically, there is performance and there is results. In life, if you have a bad performance, then you have zero. Not even bad results. You have zero, nada. Okay. If you work very, very hard and you have a good performance, you give your 100%, you can get an average result or even a bad result. Sometimes we give our 100% and we have a bad result. Or maybe you can get an average result. The thing is that having an outstanding performance can give us unbelievable results. And it only takes 1% better. So after we do all this effort and give our 100%, it only takes 1% more. And it can bring us to very unbelievable, outstanding results. And this is the reason. No athlete wins the Olympics being good. They're all good. So it's something that is probably like a theory I live by. I always try to give my 101%, just because it's so little the difference, but it can make a huge difference on results, okay? Finally, do you remember, who remembers the little box that I told you on the matrix, the light blue? Does anybody remember what that said? Who said that? Yeah, but who said it first? Okay, that's good. Delegate. I have a present for you, actually. I'll give you a copy of the productivity journal. So basically, what do we do when we don't have anybody to delegate on? Don't solve all the problems. Basically, this is a theory of that's a Tim Ferriss theory. So basically, it says don't solve all the problems. Let small bad little things happen so that big things can happen. Eventually, those big things will make all these little bad things look as they are, like little things, okay? Finally, my final message is change the mindset of doing more for a mindset of getting more progress. We as humans, we either move towards rewards or we avoid pain. So every time you are doing a task just for the matter of doing something and highlighting that on your to-do list, that's basically your human instinct playing, okay? So hopefully after this class, you will kind of change that mindset of doing more for the one of actually making more progress, because eventually progress is the secret of happiness, okay? We only feel happy when we feel we are moving forward. We don't feel happy when we do a lot of things. There are some days that we do one thing, but that one thing that really weighed so much on you and you feel happy. So that's the way of achieving happiness when it comes to productivity. Productivity has nothing to do with time, has nothing to do with the amount of things. It has all to do with feeling that you are making progress towards something that is meaningful to you. So by scanning this QR, you will get a PDF to find your prime time, and also a screensaver with this quote, if you like, for your phone. But basically, you will be able to track a week and find what's that 2 to 4 hour prime time so you can get the most out of it. Thank you so much for being here.